London, in this late Victorian reign, rises like a giant beast. It breathes through 4 million chests. It sweats, it smokes, it growls. By day, its streets roll a human river. At night, this river withdraws and leaves behind pools of shadow, smells of burnt coal, spilled beer, tired flesh. At the center, the city shines, square like a safe. To the east, where the light fades, the East End sinks into a stubborn penumbra. Whitechapel and Spitalfields are the suburbs of this shadow. A labyrinth of cramped houses, crumbling facades, airless courtyards. The lodging houses, cheap boarding houses, cling to one another. Narrow staircases, landings choked with smoke and cries. In these vertical dungeons, you pay for your bed by the night. Not a week, not a month. One night. A shared mattress, a pallet of straw, a corner of floorboard. At the slightest delay, the street takes back those who cannot pay. There, in these inner yards, the smell of damp laundry mingles with that of dirty water. The alleyways are so narrow that 2 cabs cannot pass each other. People walk there on foot, they stagger, they disappear. A yellow fog slips in, clings to the stones, smothers the gas street lamps. The flame flickers, drools on the brick, then refuses to go any farther. Beyond this meager halo, darkness reigns. In the East End, misery is not an abstraction. It has faces, chapped hands, empty bellies. Unemployment gnaws. Day laborers wait, pressed against the dock gates. They are chosen in the morning, thrown away at night. Dockers, textile workers, handlers, porters. All these lives hang on the gesture of a foreman. 1 day without work, and the bed is lost. 2 days, and it's the soup kitchen. 3, and it's the workhouse door. The workhouse, like the Whitechapel Union Workhouse, stands there, a monument of cold stone. It welcomes, but it breaks. Whoever enters gives up their last scrap of pride. Families are separated there. Men on one side, women on the other, children elsewhere. You receive a roof, yes, and some food. You leave your name, your freedom, your steady gaze. The poor of the East End always walks between 2 terrors, the street and the workhouse. In this fever, crime slips in like a snake in a cellar. The Metropolitan Police already exists, an austere army in blue uniforms. Since 1829, it patrols, calculates, records. Whitechapel falls under H Division, Bethnal Green under J Division. The constables roam the streets, truncheon in hand, lantern in fist. But their footsteps are not enough to cover the maze of alleys, courtyards, passageways whose exits even the residents sometimes do not fully know. At night, the street prostitutes come out, in large numbers. They often have neither home, nor husband, nor secure roof. They rent themselves for a few pence. A bed, a drink, a piece of bread. They pace Whitechapel Road, Commercial Street, Dorset Street, Hanbury Street. They know the shadows as others know the sea. The registers, the reports, the witnesses speak. They are legion, anonymous, vulnerable, ready to follow a stranger if the promise of a coin glitters at the end of the sentence. Above this city torn between luxury and misery, an organization watches and falters. The Metropolitan Police rises as a great hierarchical machine. At its top, in 1888, one man, Sir Charles Warren, Commissioner, former soldier, disciplined, inflexible. Under him, the superintendents lead each division. For H Division, Whitechapel, the name that matters is Thomas Arnold. Around him, a chain of inspectors, sergeants, ordinary constables. Each records what he sees. Each still ignores what storm is approaching. But London is not a single city. At its heart, the city, the square mile, lives under another scepter. The City of London Police reigns there, a distinct force, jealously proud. Its own commissioner, James Monroe, then those who succeed him, its own investigators, its own methods, its own prosecution service. At the invisible border where the East End touches the city, 2 powers confront each other. This line, which today seems only an administrative detail, will soon slice the investigation as a knife slices a throat. The investigative practices themselves are barely out of infancy. No fingerprints, no DNA records, no bright laboratories where men in white coats decipher fibers and traces. Crime scene photography exists, but remains rare, sometimes clumsy. People draw more than they photograph. They describe, they record. The surgeons, trained in surgery, open the bodies in the morgue. They speak of severed carotid, missing organs, time needed to mutilate. The coroners hold their inquests, public inquiries with a jury. Witnesses file past. Neighbors tell their stories. Policemen lay out the facts. The verdict comes in words, not in certainties. Even before the name Jack the Ripper is etched into the people's fear, blood is already flowing in the East End.
Prostitutes are attacked. Sometimes their throats are cut. Sometimes they are stabbed. Long before that autumn of 1888 that will make the city tremble. The newspapers have already written. The crowds have already whispered. Murders in these streets are nothing new. What is approaching, however, has a different shape, a different persistence, a different signature. On August 7th, 1888, dawn bends over George Yard Buildings, an apartment block in Whitechapel. In a stairwell, a woman's body lies stretched out on the steps. Her name is Martha Tabram, or Martha Turner, according to the records. She has been struck more than 30 times with a bladed weapon. Her flesh is riddled. The violence is savage, relentless, but the abdomen does not yet bear those particular mutilations that will mark the autumn. The Metropolitan Police investigate. They question. They inspect the stairwell. They scrutinize the night. Voices, already, whisper that perhaps here, a single monster began his work. Others reject this link. Nothing is proven. The question hangs in suspense, like a lurking shadow. Among those whom history will later call the canonical victims, life is already unfolding, fragile, battered, before fate comes to claim them. Mary Ann Nichols, called Polly, is born in 1845 in London under the name Walker. She marries William Nichols and gives birth to several children. But the bond breaks. Separation, poverty, alcohol darkens the evenings. In 1888, she wanders through the East End, moving from lodging house to lodging house, thrown out whenever she lacks the coins to pay for the bed. Annie Chapman, born Smith in 1841, follows a trajectory that gradually falls apart. She marries John Chapman. Then, again, separation, arguments, alcohol that eats away. She too ends up in those cheap lodgings in Spitalfields, where every night is begged for and drunk away. Hope shrinks. Dignity fights to survive. Further north, another life veers toward London. Elizabeth Stride is born in 1843 in Sweden, under the name Elizabeth Gustafsdotter. She crosses the sea, seeking a new life in London. She marries John Stride. Once again, the ties loosen, then break. She lives on odd jobs. The street swallows her. Prostitution imposes itself as a last resort, a slow and inexorable descent. Catherine Eddowes, born in 1842 in Wolverhampton, knows from childhood the bite of poverty. She lives, loves, first with Thomas Conway, then later with John Kelly. She drifts from town to town, then settles in the East End. Lodging houses for shelter, alcohol to forget. She is often seen in the streets, changing roofs as often as days, swinging between clarity and drunkenness. Mary Jane Kelly, or Marie Jeanette Kelly, moves forward in a sort of biographical fog. People speak of Irish origins, perhaps Welsh. Nothing is certain. Fragments collide. All that is known is that she ends up in Miller's Court, an annex off Dorset Street in Spitalfields. She rents a small room at number 13, paying her rent to a landlord, John McCarthy. Within those four walls, she tries to hold a life together. She sells her body to pay for that small patch of space. She sometimes dreams aloud of another existence, but her steps remain confined to those alleys. While these women struggle, fall, and get back up, another stage is being set. In the offices of the Metropolitan Police, the names of those in charge arrange themselves like pieces on a chessboard. Sir Charles Warren sits at the top. In the autumn of 1888, a man comes to reinforce the core of the criminal investigation. Robert Anderson, Assistant Commissioner of the CID, the Criminal Investigation Department. Below, in H Division, an inspector with a hard mustache and calculating gaze awaits his moment. Frederick George Aberline. He knows the streets, the taverns, the rumors. At his side, Edmund Reed, another inspector of H Division, prepares his notebooks, his questions, his patience. In these men's shadow, James Monroe plays a double role, both linked to the leadership of the CID
and future successor to Warren as commissioner. The doctors too hold their posts. Dr. Reese Ralph Llewellyn, who will soon open the body of Marianne Nichols. Dr. George Bagster Phillips, police surgeon for Whitechapel, who will carefully observe the flesh of Annie Chapman and others still. Dr. Thomas Bond, surgeon to the Metropolitan Police, whose pen will draft a severe report on the mutilations, trying to read in the flesh the traits of an invisible soul. Around them, the coroners stand, solemn figures of the inquests. Wynne Edwin Baxter, who will hear the witnesses of several of the future victims. Other names will appear: Samuel F. Langham, Roderick MacDonald. Each plays his part in this judicial drama without resolution. The press, finally, sharpens its pens. The Times, cold, authoritative. The Daily Telegraph, expansive and talkative. The Star, more aggressive. The Evening News, lively, hungry for scoops.
The Illustrated Police News, fond of images, of striking engravings, of spectacular crime scenes. These newspapers already share a habit, chasing after blood, details, rumors. They are preparing to become the deafening drums of a collective hysteria. Then, in this city at the end of its tether, something rises. It is not a wind, it is a presence. It moves through the streets of the East End like a new cold. It does not yet bear a name. No headline has christened it. But when, on August 31st, in Bucks Row, a carter discovers a body lying there, throat cut, belly wounded, the legend will begin.